I'm going to run through the instructions for building the Rotormast V22 Osprey. I'm using the Rev C instruction set, and we're going to start with step 1 in section A, and that's bag 5. The first thing you do is assemble the main gear onto the one-way unit and then onto the main shafts. There's two one-way units, a right and a left-hand unit, so you want to keep that straight, but you don't need to know that until you're ready to install them in the nacelles. We have a set of small countersunk screws that are used to screw the one-way onto the main gear. Line up the holes. Get them all started before you snug them up. After you get them tight, go around and feel if there's any screws that have a high corner sticking up. If there is, take a file and knock that corner off. This one doesn't have any. Feel for, make sure they're all nice and flush. If you feel one that has a high corner, just take a file and knock that off. That prevents them from hitting the secondary drive gear and leaving a mark. Next, we'll add the assembly to the main shaft. It goes on the end away from the slots. We have a 2mm cap screw and a locking fiber lock nut. Next, we add the thrust bearings. The stack up with the bearing in the middle. Slide it on the main shaft. If it won't go on, just flip it around to the other side. Stack up bearing in the middle. Then I like to add a little oil to the main shaft assembly. Add a drop of oil to the one-way sleeve. And one drop of oil to the thrust bearing. That'll help the ship run quieter. Well, I have the collars, main shaft collars out. I'll add their set screws. Always Loctite all metal to metal pieces. The blades rotate towards the wing, so they will freewheel in that direction. Means that this one's freewheeling in this direction, so this means it's the right wing. And this one will freewheel in this direction, which means it's on the left-hand side. Just put a little quick mark there. And that's the main shaft assembly. Now, why I have this pack open, I'm going to add the bearings to the motor mount and the secondary drive gear holder, bearing holder. I'll just get those parts out real quick. So on this aircraft, we recommend that you red Loctite in all the bearings into the bearing holder. So I'm going to do that right now just to get it out of the way early, and it'll be set up before I install them in the nacelles. So I'm going to use a little so I'm going to make sure I clean these bearings off. I'll put a little cleaner on this rag and clean the outside of each bearing. Then I'll clean off the inside of each holder. Then I'll use some of the red bearing Loctite. Be very careful not to get this inside your bearings. Try to put a nice even coat. And slide it in. The motor mount, I'll twist it to try to get a nice even coat. And then I'll wipe off the excess. These bearings are properly installed like this, you'll never have a spin out problem with them. I'll get these parts out of the way, and when we get to that step they'll already be set up. After they set up, I like to put a drop of oil in each bearing.